I just got an email. Good day. Good Monday. I did. I just got an email that we made it to the second round for the grant we applied for. Like, what exciting news? We will see. We're going to see what happens with that. But while we get today started, happy Monday to everyone here. It's April 22nd. I've noticed that I haven't been saying the date on these, so maybe people start them and wonder. I don't know. I've also been thinking through ways to categorize these videos better in case somebody goes looking back for an old one that said something. Trying to be mindful of stuff like that because who knew we'd be making as many of these as we have. I think we're up to 30 something now, doing one a week for almost a year, which is wild. So a good day to everybody and welcome. Yeah, it's totally wild. Thank you to FPEA for being one of our top sponsors. We are excited to announce our 501c3 status has been updated for HEF Connect, and there are so many more exciting opportunities to come along with that. We hope to see our top sponsors area get fleshed out even more so as we move forward. But thank you to FBEA for being with us. The convention is coming up. Looks like maybe 1 month out. I can't imagine that there are any hotel spaces left, but if there are, you should check and grab them up. There's going to be a lot going on at that convention. It's going to be packed. There's going to be so much cool stuff. So, hello, Brenda. Welcome. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good for a Monday from a wild week.
Yeah.
A wild week.
It has been a wild week. Do you want to talk about what's been going on in your week?
No, I don't.
I hear that you've been visiting a relative.
Yeah, 98-year-old aunt.
Yeah, wow.
In Virginia.
That is wild.
Full up there. She's doing pretty good for 98 years old. It's amazing.
That's exciting.
So
that's impressive.
We enjoyed our visit. We enjoyed seeing her, and now
that's
on
cool.
to the work again.
Yeah. Whatever. If much toil, there is no end. Or of making many books, there is no end. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, it's been wild for us, too. We are in the middle of an extension on the house that we're looking at. Rooting here in Tallahassee. Thank you for all of that and all of the help. Shout out to Jay, who's been making the impossible things happen, coordinating everything. Jay Young has been a surprisingly just impressive force of nature since the moment that we got off of the truck in January and he showed up with his 4 children, and we've been greeted with community and friendship and connections, and it's been a roller coaster, but it looks like that roller coaster may be hitting some really, really high highs and drops, and then maybe it'll go smooth for a little. Well, it goes a breather.
We're sure hoping and looking forward to that. It would be the final completion of getting y'all moved to Tallahassee to transition to new leadership at HEF. We're so excited. I'll still be around, but I won't be doing the day-to-day. And I'm grateful for Crystal and answering all those emails and phone calls that consumed so much of my time that people just don't realize how much goes on behind the scenes that nobody's aware of. And it really is a full-time, hard job. And hopefully there will be a lot of compensation coming in the future with the things that we're working on. I wasn't much of a marketer, pretty decent lobbyist, but not much of a marketer.
Well, it is what it is. You know, we were talking about this the other day. The tools didn't even really exist back then. Like, you know, like the old telephone, even if you wanted to make a telephone call, it's like, you're like waste a whole minute just trying to dial that thing, hit the wrong number, and oh man, start all over.
Hold, please.
Yeah, hold please. You know, that's something else we were thinking, Crystal and I were talking about the other day, which is we heard a sad story about, you know, a young a young kid and access to social media and bullying and what that pressure is causing them to go through. And I was like, back in the day, we didn't even have access to call other kids. Like I had to call that kid's house, talk to that kid's parent, and they said yes or no. Like there just wasn't even access to those other kids. Like everything ran through the parents in a way. And it's wild to me. So different of a landscape, both digital and physical. Anyway, we're all still excited to be here doing all of this with or without that. But the tools are different. That's what I was trying to say. The tools are just different. So I don't think that it's any better or worse. I think that if we didn't have a grasp on them, we probably wouldn't be able to do nearly as good a job as you've done in the past. Simply because people just expect more, and it blows my mind. Like we'll get calls, and the information's right there on the website, easy to find. But we still get the calls for it. So it's kind of like I'm in that place wondering, like, where did we devote most of our energy to putting the information? Because, like you said, it takes all of it takes time and effort. Responding to emails, creating the posts, putting the information, getting it categorized, making sure it shows up in searches, answering the phones, having a life teaching our kids,
Yeah, that's
running a
important.
company on the other end of it.
Right. Yeah,
It's
that's what
it's
people
work.
don't realize is that you have to have another source of income to be able to survive, to quote, volunteer to do this job. Um,
Mhm.
so we're grateful that Jason came to us with the skills that he has and the support that he already had. But I want to see him and his wife, Crystal, go full time with no outside distractions, because I know what that could mean to the homeschool community, which I think might be a good time to launch into what we're doing and what you're creating and what we think
Okay.
might be a great opportunity for home educated students.
Sure. Yeah, because I was going to say there's so many ideas that we have that go beyond just um, the core
Lobbying.
of lobbying. Yeah. There's a lot of support, peripheral things that support lobbying. There's a lot of national trends and statewide trends that play a huge role in how lobbying happens or how those conversations have to go and how many people know about are in the know to even help us when it comes to testimonies or having like a knowledgeable platform and voice to speak from. So um, should
We'll
we do
talk
a
about,
screen share on this or just talk about it?
well, I would say let's tell them about the vision you have for educating legislators, but also using the potential of what we wanted to do anyway to get a
Mm.
grant. Talk about the
Okay.
grant.
Yeah, so one of the issues that we ran into, and I wrote an article over the weekend. God bless everybody who showed me that my dyslexia won out in this battle, and I misspelled the title. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate all of you for showing me that. It was not lost on me. I did stare at that thing for hours before hitting publish, and I lost that battle. But the article kind of goes into some of the difficulties in understanding. There's multiple trends all moving at one time and at their own speeds, and there's a big knowledge gap. And it's not formally educated on anywhere. People go to school in public school traditionally. Most of the country, most of Florida, they go to school to some sort of public school or institution, and they're educated on the information, and then they're turned loose to go be citizens. And they don't really have a point of reference for a visual mental map or even just what homeschooling or home education is. And then they become legislators if they so dream about it. And there's really not a lot of knowledge So they start writing laws, and it's like, well, that makes sense. Public school students don't get this. Why should anybody else get that? And the entire approach to those conversations on their end, without trying to be rude, I think is flawed. There's a lot of just ignorance, and that's not a dig at anybody. There's just a lack of information on their part. And one of the things we can do is help fill that information gap, by spreading testimonies and making it easy for people to find information that shares those testimonies. There's some interesting data that's done by some research institutions, but it's incomplete because anybody who submits for their data to be captured is self-selected. So they're not necessarily a representative of the whole. They're just representative of those who were willing to have their data captured. And a lot of that stuff kind of skews the full message, and data points are just numbers on a page, and statistics are left for interpretation, and there's no face, there's no heart, there's no emotion to the impact that has had. And there's a very powerful what's the word, motivational factor, on the part of people listening to a very, very strong, clear, impact oriented story. So when they hear not just, oh, this is what we do for home education, but like what kind of transition that has had. Andrea, when she came and spoke, she did a wonderful job in front of the legislation speaking, and Crystal, you did too. And some of the most memorable parts, even from listening to Bill Maddox talk about it, some of the most memorable parts were when people said very specifically, like, I remember seeing that child, and I remember you saying that the guitar was too big for her fingers and she needed a smaller guitar, and that kind of thing. And it was interesting. So that there's that storytelling part of it that makes that huge impact that we're trying to harness. So one of the projects, if you've seen the website recently, it's not waiting to be live. This is already live. It is Tell Your Story. And there's a page there that will walk you through kind of what the details are of telling your story and how. I don't go into video formats, but I do say if you're going to, landscape it or hold it portrait, so it's vertical or horizontal, that you just stick to that whichever way you do it. Less than 60 seconds. I give recommended breakdowns if you're struggling with ideas of what to come up with or how to say it or those kinds of things. I do give some helpful suggestions on there. And then there's a place for you to upload your video for us to be able to use it on social media. And the goal here would be to create a quantity, a playlist, what do you call that? A silo of content that can be dove into or easily referenced, or for people to see it and cherry pick their favorite one. And when you talk with your legislators, be able to share something from that playlist to them that's short and impactful. And then when they follow the link back there, they can just see one after the other, after the other, after the other, of video testimonials that might be impactful to them, and thereby changing how people view home education, how people view homeschooling. And it's so important because there's a lot of stuff right now that's just being crammed into the home education name, right? Homeschooling is housing home education and many, 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 many other things that are of the educating the public initiative, right? So that article will go into details. So if you have take a chance and read it. I think it'll explain why that's critical. And then of course that's one of the initiatives that we have. We'd love to dive more attention into and develop. I'd love to be able to divert time to helping people with their video content on those things, where they could submit them and I could edit them. As of now, I just need people to make their own and submit them, and we'll go with what you've got. But if I could devote more time and resources to it, I would go a step further and kind of put my hands on those videos and see if I could make them even better with my skill set. And then, of course, there's a different project that we're looking at. HEF Connect, one of its original
Wait. Let me go back a minute. On those testimonials, if you have an articulate child that can express what that's meant to them, especially, middle school and high schoolers. I think it would be very effective if it came from the child and not so much from the parent.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. 100%. I think that's a great thing to note in that, because that hearing them speak is even that much more. It's challenging. I know how challenging that is, though, because sometimes your kids will sit with you and they'll say it and they'll be like, oh my goodness, let me grab the camera and you say that. And then you grab the camera and
They
their
can't say
mind
it.
A
goes,
moment's
they
gone.
can't, man. They just like their brain goes in a million other different directions. They get nervous. Their mouth turns off, or it doesn't come out in quite the same way, or you know,
Well, our
it's
future
funny.
lobbyist will handle that quite well.
We hope.
So
We
there's
hope.
some of the high school kids that never quit talking, so they'll be fine. You know your child, so you can determine that.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's transition to what you were going to say before I said that.
Right. So that's one project that we've got in the works. So another project that we're working on is, and this is a bit of a long build. Oh, Dina was trying to join, but she doesn't have the link. Pardon me for like a couple of seconds while
Well,
I
let
do
me
that.
pick up here.
Yes, why don't you?
I've had a vision by myself before we got so many great people added to it. And this was a long time because a lot of parents don't want their kids to go to the university, and the kids don't know what they want to do when they go to the university. And you accumulate a lot of debt and then find, oh, I don't really like this career, or you can't find a job in that career. So going back as far as 2013, I thought, we should have a way to help home education parents plug into a website that provides them many opportunities, even beginning in high school with apprenticeships and so forth. The legislature is doing a lot in the state colleges, and I was reading this morning about the principals that were the principal of the year and the vice principal. And they're trying to also do a similar thing where they introduce kids to careers in high school. So we have a wealth of people in the home education community that have businesses or work for corporations that offer apprenticeships
Hmm.
and will allow kids to come and work and see if they really like it. And then they help them through industry certifications move into a career after high school. And they know because they've already been in the field that they really like what they're doing. So in 2017, I got a 501c3 approved, and then COVID hit and we did nothing. And there, the inspiration for this came from a homeschool dad in Pasco County whose name is Peter Bujenski. And he could see visionary homeschoolers coming and working at his PharmaWorks place. And they were trying to implement a program for high schoolers in Pasco County. So fast forward to 2023, 2024. There is a fabulous facility available in Pasco County, paid for, and amazing. I can't even put into words what they're doing with kids. Maybe Dina can help us more. Thank you for joining us, Dina. Um,
Dina. Also, I've added everybody's off on the side of the screen just so you guys know what the screen looks like. And Dina, your website is up on your Class-Source and Skills page.
So we did a discovery day with HEF, partnering with Skills and Tampa Bay homeschoolers to introduce for the first time homeschoolers who chose to go to this event, to just make them aware of what's available there through Skills. It was very successful. And we'd like to do that with more businesses so that we could just introduce it to the community if possible. But we've talked about that on our website. Dina, feel free to talk about it more, Jason. But we asked Dina to come on today to kind of showcase what she's working on, which is even a larger expansion of the idea of beginning careers in high school. So I'm going to quit talking and let Jason take over.
Katie Lane is in our comments, and she said this would be amazing. Currently seeking rising ninth grader automotive options. So that's excellent. Dina, go ahead. She was just talking about your kind of collaboration with AmSkills. This is a project that we're looking to build a registry on HEF's website. And one of the functions of HEF Connect, our 501c3, will be making a clear path to some of these things, making a hub where home education families can connect, find information about, and connect with some of these opportunities, see which ones are around them, and reach out to them and connect to them through our hub. And one of those such programs, Dina, go ahead and talk about what you've been putting together with AmSkills.
Thank you. I'm happy to. Thanks for having me on today. Like Brenda, I've had a vision for at least 20 years. I remember back in my really early days of home education with, toddlers and babies and
when you had energy.
Kindergartner. Well, yeah, I probably have more energy now, honestly, than I had then. But that's what clean living will do for you, Jason. But I read several books that were very impactful for me. And one of them was talking about the idea of having an educational resource center where people were not bound by tracks, but could individualize for their children exactly what they needed for their particular child and skill set. And, one of the things we, all of us that are veteran home educators understand is that there are things because of our unique situations in our skill sets, our spouse's skill sets, our home, our community, that we can handle pretty well. But we are now in a day and age post-agricultural society where the young people who used to have the opportunities to go and get hands-on training because they were allowed to go out to the fields and they were allowed to go to work. Post 9/11, our world has changed. And most of our young men and women in those teenage categories that could maybe have learned alongside people are now barred from going into those places for training because of laws for either security or safety or child labor laws or insurance law. And we found ourselves in a place in the home education world where we are having to choose for the last 40 years. We've been having to choose, will my child have the opportunity to get some vocational and technical education if I home educate? And most of the time, if we were keeping them at home for most things, that answer was no. That we had to choose to stop our full-time home education in order to put that child into some type of VOTEC school or training. And of course, the reasons that we've chosen to home educate mean that we really don't want them in those environments for a variety of reasons. And that hurt my heart. It hurt me for my own young men, it hurt me for my students. I saw so many people finishing their home education journey early because they found out their child had a propensity for something and the only way to access it was to give up their home education. But this new place we are at, where most of the job fields in the technical and vocational trade industries have been kind of brushed under the rug for most of public education's rise. And there are now, because the university systems have been so pushed, the trades and skilled labor have a deficit. In the Tampa Bay area right now, just in the manufacturing industry, there are over 9,000 unfilled jobs that they need people for. And this is skilled labor. So grants have come about to these groups, and the one we're talking about today, at least one of them, is AmSkills. And AmSkills said, let's privatize this and take it where we can make it very effective. So they have a couple of programs, one at Ann Clote High School, and they're having another one that's going to be happening in Eastern Pasco County, hopefully soon. And they are going in and making these high school vocational programs in conjunction with the specialists in the manufacturing industry. Now that presents some struggles you can go into the Class-Source website and find our social media, go to our Facebook page. And if you go into our videos, the video as of a few weeks ago that will come up first is our AmSkills training video with the head of AmSkills leading that discussion about what's going on, bringing vocational education to the home education community and why.
Cool.
So having said that, when we connected, when HEF went to the AmSkills Discovery Day and realized that the time and place had come where we not only had the people wanting to do it, but now we have funding to pay for it. Either if we have private funding, great, but it's also eligible for both the UA and the PEP scholarship as pre-apprenticeship programs. All of our stars had aligned. And so I immediately got into meetings and work with Tom and Alex at AmSkills, who are phenomenal. And we have a pilot program that will be beginning in August in the Tampa Bay area at Class-Source. It is going to be limited because we only have so much equipment and so much room. But we are already enrolling, and students 9th through 12th grade will be able to get vocational education, vocational credits that qualify for the Gold Seal Scholarship for Bright Futures, should they want to go on.
I was looking at your website. That's on there. It says completion of full pre-apprenticeship program counts as 15 college credits. Also required credits to qualify for Florida Bright Futures Gold Seal Vocational Scholarship. That's awesome.
It is. It's going to be the first time that I've really known any home educators that are going to be able to access this scholarship, purely home educating and not having to go to a school. So I am.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And this is because you're a home education instructional program with the scholarships.
Yes, we are. Class-Source is a home education instructional program. We're in our 20th year working together. And our board has a mission of, and is a nonprofit. We are a nonprofit, and our mission is to equip, edify, and educate among home education families in the Tampa Bay area. So we've always had a large, robust program of academic and elective classes in a 1 or 2 day week setting with our team of instructors. We have that framework in place, and now we're able to bring on vocational education as well. 9th through 12th graders will have the opportunity to take a manufacturing basics class where they will get the NC3 certifications, which is an industry standard for snap-on tools and snap-on electrical circuits. Those are required for auto body work. They're required for many manufacturing facilities. Lots of jobs in the technical, robotics, and mechanical industry require that certification. And they'll be able to get that in just 1 year. And
that's fantastic.
Yeah. And then we have a full apprenticeship program that's going to be for 11th and 12th graders or ages 16 and up. It's a 2-year program. Year 1 starts this year, and we will rotate so it's continual. And they will be able to become registered pre-apprentices with the state of Florida under AmSkills in the manufacturing industry, which includes robotics, mechatronics, hydraulics, 3D printers, lathes, heavy equipment. This is Tony Stark stuff.
And it has the ability to get them right into well-paying jobs, to apprentice into them and be paid while they learn the rest of it and take their career on a path where it's continually being added to and learned as an alternative path, like not necessarily even having to go into college to get there.
Absolutely.
Well, and also it's not a dead end street. Once you get into that and get jobs, which M Skills will help them find jobs with their partners in the Tampa Bay area and beyond. That just is a launching pad for maybe potentially other careers, which we've seen with some of the kids that have been through the M-Skill program.
Absolutely. And one of the things that's, our bedrock at the Home Education Foundation, we say, the world is our classroom and education is everywhere and there's not an age on it, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So I am thrilled to tell you that I have been able, because of this, to connect our graduates with it. And they are also going to have the opportunity to enter into the AM Skills program as over 18. And
that's fantastic.
That's exciting.
Last week, a friend of mine's son came down and stayed with me for 2 weeks and went through the AM Skills boot camp and interviewed, and he's going to be starting with an electrician.
Please tell me that is Benjamin. Is it?
It is not. No, it is not.
Okay. All right.
It is not.
No, repeat what you said. He's going to be starting with.
He really, because you get a sampling of everything in this. You're getting to learn a different range of trades that all can be applied. So they wired an entire house. They built robots. They worked mechanical arms. They learned to solder. They got certifications in like 5 different certificates in that 2 weeks just in the boot camp for the 18 and up. And he really loved the electrical. So they are helping him get an electrical apprenticeship for being able to do the kind of wiring that is used in the industry in manufacturing.
Cool.
And he's a homeschool graduate. He was trying to figure out what to do.
Nice.
And he
That's
has
awesome.
dyslexia, and college was not his route, but this is, and he blew it away.
That's fantastic. Katie Lane says, such an amazing opportunity. How do we best contact Dina to discuss other areas of the state? The website, ? And then Tracy from FPEA says, a super blessing for our grads. That's awesome.
Absolutely. I would be so happy to connect you guys with anything I can. Feel free to reach out to me. You can reach out through HEF, or you can reach out through my website. And I will tell you that AM Skills is in the Tampa Bay area. They do hope to be able to take this around, but I won't speak for them right now. We're building it.
Certainly.
Because one of the things that HEF wants to also do is we want to teach groups how to work with home education, because we are not the same as a high school, and we do not operate the same as anything they've ever seen before.
No.
They love home education, but in a model like ours with teens and high schoolers, there is some experience that needs to be done. So we want to pilot this well and give them a really good taste of how to do it right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's fantastic. And this is a great example of some of those opportunities that the Home HEF Connect, the 501c3 arm, is looking to help build bridges for. AM Skills is a wonderful program, and Dina's Home Education Class-Source, Home Education Instructional Program, Class-Source, is a wonderful program, and helping kind of make those connections and bring those two together. This connection kind of came out of, we did a discovery day at AM Skills with the Tampa Bay Homeschool Conference, which is Kim Hannon's pet project. And she kind of helped us put all of that together. And out of that sprang more interest and questions and Q&A sessions and the idea for this project and putting that together. And so we're really looking forward to incubating is maybe the best word, incubating some of these projects. And like Dina said, running some of them, test piloting them, and helping get them supported and up off the ground, and making the connections that we've built, or Brenda, over the last 40 years has really been the builder. I will be the torch carrier from here on in, and I'll build my own and more, but you have laid the foundational groundwork for a lot of these connections, and we're just looking for ways to amplify the fruits that come from those connections through HEF Connect and building opportunities like this. And, Pep Boys has apprenticeships, and there's a thing called Hack the Box. Tires Plus does too. And then there are non-mechatronic avenues like one of our board members has a company that teaches cybersecurity. And then we also have another one down south called Hack the Box. And there are all kinds of ways. Dina, your husband works in cybersecurity. There are so many connections and ways that we're looking for providers who are looking for good, hungry, willing to work. I will say the biggest complaint that I've ever heard from any of these is that they oftentimes get, young companies themselves, like the isolated companies, get an introduction to a young person who thinks they want to do this, and then they peter out because they don't really have the work ethic, or they didn't really want to do the work. And these intermediary places kind of help them weed that out, and they help them identify whether or not this path is desirous enough for them that they'll stick to it, and before they ever get into a place where they burn a bridge. And so that's kind of ultimately what we're looking to do, is these alternative paths. College, this is my personal opinion. This isn't HEF's opinion, but my personal Jason Crawford opinion, and opinions stink, as we all know. I think college sucked. It sucked for me. That's it, And I think that if there are ways around that, and there are better opportunities, no one should assume that college is the default path to success when there are plenty of options that are there. We just don't know about them. I know that when I was at AmSkills, they mentioned a couple of different jobs, and I'm like, I have never heard those words put together. Like, I'm not even sure I've heard those letters strung together to formulate that. I've always heard, lawyer, doctor, nurse, and any of those are great too. And that's not to say that they're all bad, but there's so many jobs that are available.
Jason, I don't know if you're able to do it right now, but if you'll look at the other page on there, we also are launching a CNA program and have employers as well. So we're looking at, that's another vocation. Perfect. It's another, and in only 16 weeks, those kids, they need to be graduating or 18 or just having graduated. Or we do allow some adults if they go through the background checks and are part of our community.
Okay.
There are many opportunities like this, and we're not just, like you said, we're not just saying, here, get this training. We have a company helping with this program, and we'll be interviewing our students at the end of the CNA program for jobs on campus. Because the community, the working community has seen the results of home education, and they want those students in their fields. So let's just bring them to the homeschoolers.
Mm-hmm. And that's ultimately kind of going back to 30,000 feet. I love that you have these programs and that you've really latched on to this vision, and I love that it's yours. And I love that we're in alignment with it. It's so beautiful.
Yes.
I've met many families over the years. I've worked with over 1,000 families over the last 20 years, maybe more. And I cannot tell you the number of days I've spent with moms, especially of teenage boys, going, there has to be another path. Right. And it has been excruciating to say, maybe they want to be a plumber. That was the only option I had, those kinds of things, which is wonderful, but not everyone wants to have to pull their pants up constantly. So they needed another path besides plumber. But right. I didn't have answers for them. And now when I'm counseling moms about high school, I jump with joy at that there's more that you can do.
Yeah.
Well, I envision us partnering with banks and allowing kids in the area of finance to have some opportunities to internship, and maybe the banks will support the work that we're doing, thus raising more support for us to build more. I mean, there are all kinds of opportunities out there, not just plumbing, but I feel like where I started was like you, Dina, where what happens to the kids that don't fit the mold of going to college and becoming a doctor? Where do those kids find the information? And many times they are very bright kids, but their interests do not lie in formal education. They have more of a hands-on, let me get in here and dig. And many of them are entrepreneurs, and they just following a set pathway just does not work for them.
Or maybe their brain's not done yet.
Well, that's true too.
So we've learned over the last decade that the human brain, especially in males, is not finished between the ages of 25 and 27.
What's my problem then?
You're uniquely abled.
Yeah.
You're fabulous. I wouldn't change it all. But these.
How do you spell unique? No, kidding.
Just because they go into a non-academic field right now does not mean that at 30 years old, their brain may be in a place where they're ready to go into that area of learning.
Mm-hmm.
Or they figured out they love it and want to expand their education, which we've seen with some of the kids that have gone through AM skills. They're now in college to become engineers.
Absolutely.
Well, I have to say that I grew up in Alabama, so I didn't grow up in Florida, and I didn't have the benefit of a Brenda in my state, and a lot of the rights that she's helped secure and pathways that's opened up, because in securing those, it creates opportunities for companies to go, okay, we'll step up and help serve a need. And that creates things like that, create a 20, 30, 40-year impact that starts slow and then opens up the further down the road that you get where this is more normal and there are other options to support those things. And when I was going through college, I fell in love with communication, and I was always told by one of my professors who was wise, he would say that, and you look at who has the communications degrees, it's typically the cheerleaders on television. So, choose your career path carefully and choose your college path carefully. And I thought, but I love the facets of how people communicate. But he was right. Like, it's very difficult to get anything that is a hard career path that just opens up for those types of things. And it's nice to see some of the career paths be able to skip that intermediary area where, colleges, they do want to make money. They're businesses at the end of the day too. And, it's like, well, take all of these extra classes in addition to the field you want to be in, and then you'll have all of these credits and can graduate with that. And it's like, we didn't necessarily want all of that. We want to jump right into it. And I think there's great benefit to what you're doing. And I wish I had been able to tap into some of that earlier. Maybe I would have made some different choices, but my choices have led me here, and I'm thankful for that as well.
Well, going back to what you said earlier in the broadcast, there weren't that many opportunities. You said there weren't tools available. Well, look at the explosion of opportunities in careers that we never heard of. You said linking words together. Well, goodness gracious, some of the things that are out there for kids to do are things that you would have never even imagined 30 years ago.
Right.
And so not only have the tools for communications expanded, but the opportunities for kids and careers have greatly expanded. And how do you know about those things? How do you find out about those things if there isn't a place for you to go and research the opportunities? And so we want HEF Connect to be that place.
Yes, we're trying to build that into a place. So one of the things, I guess this will get to the, what can you do to help us part of it?
Yeah.
Obviously, the short answer to that is help us fund it. The long answer to that is if you know of opportunities that are near you, that would be useful to have them added so that others can participate in them. It could be that somebody on here is asking for, hey, where's something like this in our area? And they just don't know. But somebody else watching from that area goes, we found this one. And, letting us know that information and getting it where we can put it up into that registry will allow people to benefit from that. We would like to have more than just a list of names. We'd like to have a relationship with these programs so that they can understand what home education students are like as we funnel them in. But also, it's an avenue of building a bridge and a support where we're putting them into careers and giving them job experience. So we would like to make it more than just a list of names on the site. So if there's contact information that you can share with us, or we can call them and build relationships with them, and make it more than just a list of names, that's even better. Because
Many
then,
homeschoolers have businesses that they can offer to kids, not just statewide as far as in every area, but they're willing to take one or two kids who are interested in it. I think Kim Hannon mentioned that she knew someone who had a business in developing plastics. It has to do in the area of plastics. There's really no training program for that. But he would love to have someone come alongside of him that he can teach about how to do those kinds of things. So maybe it's just one or two people, that they would employ, but he's looking for somebody, and there's probably a kid out there that loves chemistry that would love to do that. So those are other opportunities that we would like to make available.
Certainly. So. And there's a niche for I think one of the young men who went through AM Skills, and they were using the 3D printer to do certain things. They have a printer and a cutter, a laser cutter, and both of those things are used to make promotional products and items. They can be used to make parts for something to build. And there's a lot of file prep that has to go into. There's a ton of file prep that has to go into some of those things as a marketer. And someone who can do that well can do something far more creative than someone who barely knows how to do it or is just getting into it. So there's just a lot of opportunities, and there's no need for a degree. I know that when we look for a person to hire, we have to take looks at their portfolio. We have to take looks at like all the things that they've built or other projects that they've worked on. We don't really care if they've been to college. From a marketing standpoint, it's really about, can you do the job? Can you create creative content? What does that mean? What does that look like? So we've got to dive into work that you've done.
And so it's sort of their portfolio. Part
so
of their
homeschool
portfolio.
Yeah, similar to a portfolio, homeschool portfolio, sure. But yeah, having opportunities like that where you're hands-on with jobs and you're learning while being paid to learn, and actually working on hands-on on things is so much better. It's so much more of a rich
Let me clarify something. When you said
we,
are you talking about your company, Fierce?
No, yeah, I'm talking about the marketing company that I still am the creative director for. So thank you for.
I just wanted to make sure they didn't think HEF was doing this.
Correct. Yeah, great catch. It's a very good catch. I have to wear multiple hats, and sometimes I forget when I've taken one off and put one on. So, yeah. Excuse me. I have a bit of an allergy.
Like Dina is piloting a program that she's creating for Class-Source. The hope is that if this works for kids, that we can not really franchise, but along the line of franchising the program.
Right.
What'd you say?
Duplicate it.
Yeah.
Duplicate it in other places.
With other home education instructional programs across the state so that it does become available. And one of the things that I think is okay to share is that AM Skills has a mobile unit, a mobile training unit. So they are already set to do a 2-week training program or a career exploration program across the state. So, if it's something that these home education instructional programs in Boca or Miami or Pensacola are interested in offering the opportunity for exploration in the area of manufacturing, AM Skills can schedule with you, pick up their mobile unit, and off they go. So that is really exciting to me because we're not limited to one region of the state and nobody else can participate. So, it to me, this is so exciting. I'm so happy that we have Dina and Jason and Kim Hannon and all of these really creative home education leaders to join our team at HEF Connect and be able to help us build this opportunity for home education families and kids.
So I've been working on the website redesign nonstop almost. And there's so much information to move around and to make sure people can still find when we kind of make the shift and things like that. You will still see, just back up 30,000 feet again and re-enter the conversation. You will still see, as HEF, the Home Education Foundation, the website goes through a shift. You will still see HEF there, and you will now see HEF Connect as the new face of what we do. We're going to lead with our 501c3 because that's the majority of the work that we'll be doing year round. And HEF, the Home Education Foundation, will continue to be exactly what it was, which is a lobbying organization. And whoever it is that we end up bringing on HEF Connect as it grows, and HEF, we'll make sure that they work hand in hand together. Right? The goal is that they work together, and the information that we pull from the Home Education Foundation, we use it with HEF Connect to provide accurate information for parents as they confidently step into any of their choices. And we support the community through those efforts, workshops, all of the workshops and things like that. They're all a part of the nonprofit organization that houses them. And then the lobbying can be done by HEF. It'll stay the way that it was when Brenda helped get it started and has been doing it for all of these years. And I will be there, and I will be lobbying and taking over for Brenda. And then I'll also be working as the Chief Communications Officer with HEF Connect. So we make sure that all the information that gets pumped out and put out is accurate, up to date, and that we're helping the community. We're just trying to be clear and transparent about how these two work together. They're not the exact same organization. They're the exact same heart and soul. They just do different parts of the work. So most of that just has to be clear for tax purposes, but but we do want to be clear about it. Also, we just want you all to know that there are bigger projects. There are some really interesting things happening that HEF Connect is pushing really hard and trying to be a part of. These projects, these two projects that we're working on, the Tell Your Story project and the what do we call this one? The Additional Career Options project. We want them to go hand in hand because, again, there's a lot of companies that don't know much about home education students or families, and they wonder why we're such mavericks sometimes.
Good word.
I'm a maverick, man. There's no way. That's why I went to communication instead, even though I was told it was a bad idea. Because I've had to carve that out the whole time. So I get it. But there's just a lot of information that people don't understand and know. So we're trying to create a repertoire of information that helps people discover and understand, and then also create these opportunities where, it's drilled down our throats. Over 100 years ago, it wasn't assumed that college was the default path to success. That's truly an innovative new given, if you think about it, especially in the stretch of human history as a whole. So all of these paths
wasn't a given.
Yeah, that's true too. So all these paths that emphasize get a skill, be useful, build a career, those are the kinds of things we're looking for to bring in and build that repertoire. And then also build the information. And then there's a couple of other projects. I mentioned we started the podcast today with the fact that we're in the second round. We moved on to round 2 with the grant that we applied for. We're super excited about that. And more to come. We can't say too much, but more to come on that. We're really, really hopeful. That sounds like an amazing project.
One thing that the viewers today can do is share our live streams with their friends and fellow homeschoolers, because we need to get the word spread around. And
Yes.
a lot of when Jason came on board and said, I think I'd like to do the lobbying for you. I heard you were going to retire. He said, I couldn't find any presence on the internet for you. And the way you get the information spread is basically word of mouth. And so if you tell your friends, they start viewing, it gives us, as I understand it, Jason, a higher presence on Google.
Yes.
So then when people go to search home education, we're right up there at the top.
Yep. Yeah, as we do. And there is a, not to toot my own horn, but there were a couple of times when it came to, this is probably why we get so many calls about scholarship. But when people start searching for information about PEP, we come up pretty high on that subject. Not that that's what I want, but that's par for the course.
A lot of what we talked about those first.
It's been the hot topic that the community has wanted answers on, and we have the information, so we share it. In doing so, that kind of puts us there. So any of the other content that we have that you find useful, please just make a habit of sharing it. We really do. All of the shares mean a lot to the algorithms, whether it's Instagram or Facebook. We're also on YouTube and Rumble. So if you like some of the more freedom-loving ones, those are there. And then we have
Jason,
a presence.
Thank you so much.
We have a presence on Twitter, which is now called X as well. So Tracy just commented. She says, please share FPEA 2024 Florida Homeschool Convention 2 so we can continue to help too. Thank you. Yes, we did. Excuse me. We did. We started the stream with that, as we usually do, and then we'll end the stream with that. So that might be our call. Because I'm out of information for today, and there are things I have to get to. But I appreciate being here. Brenda, I always appreciate you making time for this, and I look forward to eventually taking the torch from you and walking with it. I'm not going to let you go just yet. Give me one more year, and then you retire. We'll make it an even 40. Make it an even 40.
Also, I was going to say, if anybody is in the Tampa Bay area that's listening, or you want to send it to your Tampa Bay area people, tomorrow at 10:30 at Class-Source is a free community mentoring meeting. We'll be doing highlighting HEF, highlighting education laws and the history of home education law in Florida, all of the scholarship opportunities, how to homeschool, how to do PEP, requirements as well, and answering questions. And that is going to give people newer or wanting to understand things better a place to come and do that. And that is tomorrow.
Cool. Perfect. Awesome. And Dina, thank you for being with us. I know that it was short notice. I think it was 2 minutes till we go on, and Brenda was like, hey, should we get Dina on today? And I scratched my head and I was like, yeah, sure. I feel like we should have given you so much more prep time, but you look amazing and you were prepared. I think it's because all of this just comes straight from your heart. And we appreciate you being with us today.
God is good, and hairspray is great.
Crystal, you've been listening quietly the whole time, but I know that when you talk, you usually have good things to say. Is there anything that you want to add before we go?
Not really today, no.
All right. Yeah,
I also
use her.
Reiterate our appreciation for all that Crystal does that no one really even knows about. It's amazing.
That's what I was going to say. I use her as my personal secretary as well, because all the numbers with the house and the this and the that, I can't keep straight, and also do all the other things that do. So she's so good at organizing, which, is not what I'm good at. So. So I use her a lot. That's probably why she can't talk. She's got too much on her mind. Thank you. Thank you to everybody for being with us here today. We're going to go ahead and pull the stream ending up. And no. We have to go back to our sponsor again. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. One more shout out to FPEA. They're about a month away. So
excited.
If you haven't been able to get a hotel spot, good luck. Good luck. But
If you end up having to go to a different hotel, though, in the past, and I assume they are this year, they will have a parking location where they will shuttle people to the convention. So they're working on trying to help if you're having to stay at other locations.
I'll just say
I actually had to do that last year.
Yeah, I've been going to FPEA for 25 years. And 2 or 3 of those years, I had to stay off site, and it did not change my convention experience. I just crashed in my friends' rooms.
Yeah. There's so much.
Don't be afraid of the hotel. Sign up and come.
Absolutely. Yeah. And with that, we'll call today's stream to an end. We thank everybody for being here. We appreciate all of the comments. We appreciate all of the things that you guys do with sharing the information out. We ask that you continue to do that so that we can continue to do what we do. And without further ado,
good day.
Good day.